I have to say, Kayla, that was a really relaxed start to the morning. You only checked your notes twice before we went on.
I checked them 3 times, and you know it.
3 times. Very free-spirited.
I genuinely cannot tell when you're being serious.
I'm Marcus.
And I'm Kayla. Welcome to Almost Fluent.
Today we're talking about sarcasm, teasing, and roasting in American English, why Americans do it, how to tell when it's happening, and how to figure out whether someone is making fun of you because they like you or because they really just don't.
I think the thing that throws people is that sarcasm in English looks completely harmless on the page. Like the phrase, "Oh, that's great," could be a genuine compliment or the most defeated thing a person has ever said. And the words are identical.
And Americans are really heavy users of it. It's probably the most common form of humor in casual conversation, more than wordplay, more than actual jokes with a setup and a punchline.
Which is a problem if nobody's told you it exists. If you're working from the words alone, you could spend entire conversations missing half of what's actually being communicated.
I had a friend in college. He'd moved here from Mexico about a year before, and one time he spilled coffee everywhere right before a big presentation. And I said, "Oh, great timing." And he looked at me and said, "I know, right? Better now than during." Completely sincere. He thought I was agreeing with him.
What did you do?
I let it go. It wasn't the moment to stop and explain, but we talked about it later, and he said it was actually something he'd been aware of, that there was a layer to a lot of conversations he was catching too late or not at all.
So how do you start catching it in real time?
Tone first. Sarcasm usually sounds either too flat or slightly too enthusiastic. The emotion in the voice is off for the situation. If someone's phone screen shatters and they say fantastic in a completely dead voice, they don't mean fantastic.
Compare that to someone getting good news and saying, "That's fantastic," like a person who just got the news they wanted.
Same word, totally different delivery. And then there's context. You're asking yourself, does this statement actually make sense given what just happened? Great timing right after something goes wrong, flag. What a surprise when something completely predictable just occurred, almost certainly sarcasm. You're reading the words and the situation simultaneously and seeing if they line up.
Is there a whole category of phrases that are almost always sarcastic?
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Just what I needed. Perfect. Said in a flat voice right after something goes badly. Those are so automatic that people barely register them as jokes anymore. They're just how Americans talk when things aren't going the way they wanted.
I do that. I didn't even realize until just now that I do that.
That's a fluent speaker instinct. The mismatch between the word and the reality it's describing, that's where the whole thing lives.
Okay, sarcasm about a situation I can work with. What I'm genuinely less comfortable with is the more personal side, where the teasing is aimed at the person rather than the situation.
That's roasting, and it is its own thing.
Can you explain what you actually mean by it? Because I've seen it used to describe everything from gentle teasing to people being genuinely unkind.
At its core, roasting is direct teasing about something specific you do, something you've said, or something that's just become part of how people know you. And here's the part that sounds completely backwards. It almost exclusively comes from people who like you. In American friendship culture, especially in close friend groups, making fun of each other is how people show they actually know each other. You're teasing someone's habits, their quirks, the dumb thing they said 2 years ago. And what you're really communicating is, I've paid enough attention to you to notice all of this.
That is genuinely counterintuitive. My instinct is that if someone is making fun of me, something has gone wrong.
I understand that completely, but think about it from the other side. You don't put any energy into teasing someone you don't care about. You just let them exist quietly. The fact that someone is bothering to be funny at your expense is actually a signal that they're interested in you.
And you've said before that this is basically how you make friends, that the banter comes first.
It's not really intentional, it just happens naturally. When I meet someone new and something funny comes up, I'll make a small comment, nothing sharp, just something light. And if they laugh and come back with something, I know we're going to get along. That back and forth tells you pretty quickly whether someone can play.
I've actually watched you do this. You'll have a full friendship going with a stranger inside of 20 minutes.
Soccer league, music shows, wherever, it doesn't matter. It sounds calculated when I describe it, but it's just how the energy flows when two people are comfortable with each other.
I do not work this way at all. My version of getting to know someone is asking careful questions and listening for a long time. The idea of teasing a stranger sounds like something I would immediately apologize for.
Which is totally valid. But for a lot of Americans in casual settings, sports teams, offices, close friend groups, the banter is almost a handshake. It's how someone signals they're comfortable enough to play.
A very confusing handshake.
The other thing worth knowing is that the target of roasting is almost always surface-level stuff. Your team losing, the embarrassing thing you said in the meeting, a habit everyone's already clocked. Nobody's going after anything that would actually sting. The moment it crosses into something personal or painful, it stops being roasting and it becomes something else entirely.
But that line moves, and it's not always obvious where it is. I've been in situations where something was probably meant as a joke, and I still walked away feeling weird about it.
What happened?
Work event. A few years in, I was taking notes during what was supposed to be a casual lunch, and someone said, "Of course Kayla has a notebook." They probably weren't trying to embarrass me, but I didn't know them well, and in that moment, I just felt put on the spot.
And you couldn't tell if it was warm or not.
That's exactly the problem. When you make fun of my lists, I know exactly what it is. I know I can come back at you, and it's fine. With someone I barely knew, I had none of that context, so I had no idea how to respond, and I just smiled and changed the subject.
That's usually the right call when you're not sure. What you want to avoid is reacting visibly, looking genuinely hurt, or calling them out right there. Because then the whole table is suddenly managing the fallout from a comment that was probably harmless. Keeping it light, even if you're a bit annoyed, keeps everything moving.
Even if you actually were bothered?
Especially then. If it's something worth addressing, do it later with the person directly, not in front of everyone. The moment is not the place.
What about when you're the one who crosses the line? When you think something is obviously a joke and then you can feel that it didn't land.
That's happened to me more than once. You make what feels like a completely safe comment, and the other person goes quiet, or the laugh is too short, and you can feel the air shift. The temptation is to explain it, to say, "No, I was joking, I meant," and that always makes it worse.
So, what do you actually do?
Sorry, that came out wrong. That's it. Short, no drama, and then you move on. You're not launching into a full apology, you're just releasing the pressure from the moment and letting it pass. Everyone gets an exit.
Because once you start explaining a joke, it isn't one anymore.
It stopped being a joke the moment you opened your mouth to explain it. Sorry, that came out wrong is the fastest way to close the gap and keep things going. That's our episode on sarcasm, teasing, and roasting, the kind of humor that holds a lot of American friendships together, but that genuinely takes time to read correctly.
If you take one thing away from this, let it be that most of it is coming from a good place. Sarcasm is usually someone being wry, not cruel. Roasting almost always means you're liked, and when something goes wrong on either side, one short phrase, "Sorry, that came out wrong," is usually enough to clear the air and keep things moving. And remember, the instinct for all of this gets built through exposure. The more real conversation you listen to, the more you'll start to feel the difference without having to think about it. So keep tuning in, and it will come.
She's not wrong. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time on Almost Fluent.